Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And 2021 is ready to end, which is crazy to say, but that's the truth. So as we head into a new year, today I would talk about my top 10 favorite films of the year. Yes, there were 10 films. Technically a bit more. There's a bit more films I could add to the list. So maybe I'll mention a couple honorable mentions, but they just didn't quite make the top 10 list. So I would say technically there's about probably maybe 13 or so movies this year. But hey, you have people say I hate everything. No, I just, there's stuff I like, stuff I don't. Stuff that barely didn't make the list. Run, Hide, Fight. That's a film I did like. I will say that I do have a couple issues with it. I think the trailer gave away a lot of stuff. I think the lead girl could have done a bit more action, fighting, things of that nature. I think there's a little bit more, I don't know, there's just a little bit more stuff that could have been done. I think there are times there's quite a few slow spots. I get it because there's a lot of sort of running, hiding type of things, but I just, of the title, I wish there was a little less hiding and a little more fighting. But I do think it's a decent film. I don't think it's as bad as some people made it out to be. And I thought that was a ballsy plot. A teenage girl, fighting these other teens that took over a school shooting, and she takes matters in her own hands. I just wish it was a bit more visceral, bloody against the villains. There's a few things that bother me. Overall, decent film. Run, Hide, Fight. Mortal Kombat, Battle of the Realms, I did enjoy. Did not make the top 10 though, because I do enjoy the animation. I think it is a fun sequel to Scorpion's Revenge, but I thought Scorpion's Revenge was a lot better of a plot, because it's more tightly paced. It was more focused. Here, it's about Liu Kang, but then it's also about Sub-Zero, and it's trying to have these multiple plots, and I think it needed to be more streamlined. I think, in a way, it tried to do too much into one film. And I think, at times, certain characters kind of get left on the wayside because, well, I would say everything with Scorpion and Sub-Zero should have been left for another movie. They should have just done a sequel to Scorpion's Revenge, and to have it be just much more of the Liu Kang story. But overall, it's very violent, it's entertaining, it's fun. That would probably be like number 11. Let's see. There was an Angelina Jolie film that was okay. And that was the one where she had to battle this fire and protect this boy. But then these bad guys are chasing her. I mean, that'd probably be maybe number 13 or so. It was okay. But to get in the top 10, number 10, Howard's Bill. This was a film that was requested by Guillermo. Didn't even know the film existed, didn't know what it was. And it was a type of film, and there's another one on the list like this I'm a sucker for. I'm a sucker for mockumentary films. Now, when you say the term mockumentary, it's mainly people think of as a comedy, like This Is Spinal Tap. But that could also be for mystery, or drama, or horror. And Howard's Mill is a mystery mockumentary, which they did a fairly good job making it seem as if this is a real reporters covering the story. And I thought it was a very interesting story. That's why it's on the list, beating up a couple of these, because I thought the story was really intriguing, to say the least, where this reporter and her cameraman are helping this guy try to find his wife who disappeared in this area called Howard's Mill. And then they uncover that in the same area there was a lot of other disappearances. And sometimes there'd be this weird 10-year span, and was it this person that kidnapped and did something to them? Is there something a bit more sci-fi to the story? Time displacement? Just how it's uncovered, the people they talk to. It's not a found footage movie. It's not a found footage movie where everybody dies at the end and there's a lot of shaky cam and it ends with the camera falling to the ground. It's not that. That's not mockumentary. That's, again, found footage. Which there are good films of that nature. As Above, So Below. I would say this is more in lines of The Tunnel. Granted, I think The Tunnel is better than this. But I thought Howard's Mill was a fairly decent story. And the acting was believable. There are a few loose ends which, didn't bother me a whole lot, but I wish were tied up. But still, I thought, for a film no one talks about, never even heard of, pretty decent. Number 9, Boss Level, from the director of the A-Team movie. I know, and the director, I'm not a big fan of that director, Joe Carnahan. He directed the film, and it stars Frank Grillo, who I do enjoy, but I have to say and admit, this is one of the better Joe Carnahan movies. To be fair. It's not as good as Edge of Tomorrow. It does the Edge of Tomorrow motif. In this case, you have Frank Grillo as a character that relives this day over and over again. And he's down to a point that these assassins coming after him. He doesn't quite know why, what's going on, but he keeps getting killed. The first 25 minutes are fairly strong. The movie dwindles a little bit after that, but I think it still keeps up an entertaining nature. Mel Gibson plays your villain. Granted, on one hand, anybody could play the villain, but Mel Gibson definitely has his moments in it. I think it's one of Frank Grillo's better acting roles. Him trying to bond with his kid, because his kid's at this video game competition, or this video game, I forget what you call it, like convention. And it's a bit like they're bonding over playing fighting games. And like I said, there's a decent amount of heart to it. The ending, there's a couple things that would have changed differently. Like I said, after the 25 minutes, it's such a rush of adrenaline. So then it slows down for a bit of the plot, which is a good thing because you need a bit more of humanity for Frank Grillo's character. But at the same time, you're in such a big adrenaline rush. It's like you're hopped up on caffeine, and then it's taken away from you. It's like, wait, come back, that kind of feeling. But overall, Boss Level was a fun movie, and it was on Hulu. I don't know if there's any physical media on this, but yeah, Boss Level was a decent film. Again, not as good as Edge of Tomorrow, but I thought it's still a pretty damn decent, and definitely one of Joe Carnahan's better movies. Number 8, The Unforgivable. I reviewed this recently. It stars Sandra Bullock as a woman that gets out of prison for 20 years. She was in prison for the death of this cop, this sheriff. As she gets out, she tries to work a job. John Bernthal works there. She also goes to a parole officer. She's trying to get in contact with her younger sister, but the adoptive parents don't want the sister to be anywhere near Sandra Bullock. As Sandra Bullock trying to deal with life after prison, especially when people find out. And you also have the dead cop from years before, their sons wanting to plot revenge on Sandra Bullock. I thought you had a good cast. You have Vincent D'Onofrio playing a good guy. You have John Bernthal playing a fairly likable character. Again, there were a couple things I wanted some of the side characters to do a little bit more, like John Bernthal and Vincent D'Onofrio. I wanted their characters to do a little bit more things tied up in the finale. But I thought it was a decently emotional story. I thought Sandra Bullock did a really good job. I'm partial because I'm a big fan of hers. She's my favorite actress. And I thought she did a rather good job in this film. And people said it was grim and dreary. I thought the ending was hopeful. I thought it was a nice idea why they ended where they ended it, and I thought it was a nice little emotional, hopeful core. Of course, people got mad about that. This is cheesy. You know what? I like cheese, and I don't think it was cheesy. I like cheese on my pizza. I like cheese in my. I like toasted cheese sandwiches. In fact, I'm craving one right now. But you know what? Spider-Man No Way Home is cheesy. Ghostbusters Afterlife is cheesy. How about them apples? So yeah, I like The Unforgivable. That's number 8. Number 7, we have The Hitman's Bodyguard, which is the Blu-ray of it. Fun movie. Not as good as the first one. I do think the first one did a better job in its action sequences. But I still thought this was a fun film. It was an easy watch. I thought it was a film that the cast worked well. Selma Hayek, some people may be annoyed by her. I thought she was rather entertaining. I still think Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson worked fairly solid with each other, meaning I still thought they had really solid, fun chemistry, entertaining back and forth. Antonio Banderas, cool to see him in there. Granted, anybody could have played that villain, so there wasn't a whole lot meat to the bones of that character. Morgan Freeman, nice to see him playing a different type of role, as you come to find out. It's still fun, it's still entertaining. Like I said, I do wish the action scenes were a bit more up to par, because they do seem like a step down from the first film. But overall, don't think this film's nearly as bad as its reputation. The fact that this film... There's another film called Red Notice with Ryan Reynolds, and it had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This is way better than that, in my opinion. I think it's way better, it's funnier. Even the action scenes, even though I think they're a step down from the first, I still think they're much better than what I saw in Red Notice. That film has a higher rating, it was much more successful, and I call bullshit. I think this is a much better Ryan Reynolds action film than that one. And Ryan Reynolds is not playing the exact same type of character. I think this character is a little bit different from what he normally plays. And that's something not a lot of people mention, but it's entertaining. I think if you like the first one, you'll like this one. So that's number 7. Number 6, A Horror in the High Desert. This is another one that's a mockumentary film. It was on Tubi TV for free. Another one I really enjoyed. Because I liked... Number one, it was beautifully filmed. For a very low-budget film, I think they make it look like a documentary where this guy had a vlog channel. And he's a guy that loved to film trains, things of that nature. He does these excursions. One day he had found something out there. He went missing. And the documentary is about the search for this guy. Where does this guy go? They talk to the guy's sister, the guy's roommate, reporters about this event that happened. And again, I thought the way it was handled, as in the sometimes really beautiful cinematography of the landscapes and aerial shots, the way it was edited, put together, to me, it was an interesting story that kept me intrigued to see what would happen next. What would happen next? It does get into a little bit of found footage territory because you find the guy's footage and we see what he saw, but then, you know, there's a little bit of a finale with the... I did kind of like the tunnel. I did the tunnel is better than this. But I don't know, Horror in the High Desert I thought was a film that I went, okay, this surprised me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, okay. I think it's one of those things that, like this and Howard's Mill, you have these programs like Unsolved Mysteries or true TV programs where you get intrigued by the mystery, but then you feel bad because it's real people that got hurt, real people that got killed, real people that went missing themselves. You feel bad for them and their families and their friends. Here, you can be intrigued by it the same way, but you feel no guilt because it's still fake. But so it's like the best of both worlds. So that's why instead of more found footage movies, I think they should make more movies like this at Howard's Mill. Because you still get a little bit of found footage aspect, but you also get, again, more of a, in a weird way, more of a satisfying finale. Just not just the typical everybody dies, camera goes. So I liked that. I thought that was rather nicely done. And Horror in the High Desert I did quite enjoy. And I'm not going to go in depth on these because most of these I've reviewed on the channel. So feel free to check out my reviews. Just go to the channel page, go to the little magnifying glass. It'll be somewhere around in this corner here. You may have to push an arrow to find it. Click on it, type the name of the movie, and you'll find it. Number 5 is a film I still need to get on Blu-ray, the new Suicide Squad. Much better than the first one. That was much better. I thought it was funnier. I thought it was better edited. I thought the cast did their jobs well. I really enjoyed Teen Shark. Sally's the best thing Stallone has done. Sylvester Stallone has done in a long while. But I like the design of Teen Shark. I know in the comics he's a lot smarter, but since I didn't grow up with the character, I was fine with this interpretation. It's violent, it's gory, they even made John Cena decent. When you can make John Cena decent, the movie's doing something right. And while I do think there's still a little bit too much Harley Quinn, because I'm still not much a fan of her character in these movies, I still think it was a rather fun movie. You have the opening where this one team gets wiped out to, again, some of the crazy gory moments. The weird body horror stuff of Polka Dot Man, that these polka dots will grow out of him unless he pukes them out. Like I said, some really weird, quirky, creative energy implied into this story. I thought James Gunn did a nice job. James Gunn did a nice job, and he's a talented person. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I did like this film. He wrote the Dawn of the Dead remake. I liked that film. I thought he did a good job writing that movie. And overall, fun film, Suicide Squad. Number 4 is Nobody. Yes, the action is in the style of John Wick, but you know what? I'd rather have more action films do that. Less superhero Marvel films, more John Wick type of films. That's my personal preference. And I thought in that tradition, this was thrilling. It was fun. It was exciting. I thought the action scenes worked rather well. I thought Bob Odenkirk, I'm glad he's doing better after his heart attack. I thought he played this role surprisingly well. Christopher Lloyd is one of the highlights of the film. He has definitely one of the big crowd-pleasing moments. And if you've seen the film, you know what I mean. It deals with a shotgun. It's R-rated, it doesn't hold back. And I grew to like the character. This father and husband, he wants to live a quiet, peaceful life, control his rage, his anger. Then things go awry. You have this domino effect. And it is from the writer of one of the writers of the John Wick film, so you definitely have that. Plus, you get the director of Hardcore Henry, which is nice to see him make another film. And again, this is the type of film I want to see more of. I don't care if it's ripping off action scenes from John Wick. To me, that's better than trying to rip off Bourne Identity action movies or try to be another superhero movie. That, again, personal preference-wise, I'd rather see more of this, less Marvel, less DC. Again, that's personal preference. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth on these because I have reviewed them. And I don't want the video to be like an hour long. But Nobody's number 4. Number 3 is Malignant. Really enjoyed Malignant. I thought it was a great combination of giallo slasher film and basket case body horror. That's a very unique combination. I found it refreshing. I found it, dare I say, kind of original. It's funny, I've had people ask, well, why did you like this film? Well, I said in my review why I liked it. It was beautifully photographed by James Wan. Really good camera angles and just a nice visual delight to the eyes. The score. This is a film that's an 80s type of movie. It's an 80s type of film. The director himself even said it. Sadly, there's not much features, but he said it in the fucking interview. That he wanted to do an 80s type of film. And all these people that want to talk about the 80s, I love the 80s. But then you get a film like the 80s, oh, it's stupid. You know what's stupid? Hereditary is fucking stupid. Hereditary has a fucking ending where someone wears a goddamn crown looking like the Burger King crown. You know what? The Lighthouse is stupid. What? Yeah, The Lighthouse is stupid. The Lighthouse is a scene where Willem Dafoe is jerking off and comes, and the cum leads down to Robert Pattinson's fucking face. Ready for Bukkake. He's listening to Willem Dafoe jerk off in the lighthouse and you see the cum dripping down. That's fucking stupid. Half the shit in the lighthouse is fucking stupid. More dumb than anything in this movie. But that film wants to get the praise. Whatever. Most A24 films are fucking stupid. At least horror. Midsommar. There's a lot of stupid shit in that. So I'm sorry. My cold bullshit. Those films have more dumb, stupid, idiotic bullshit character moments and story moments than anything in this fucking film. So I call bullshit on that. This film bombed. It didn't deserve it. It didn't deserve the crap it got, in my opinion. I think it was well acted. There's again a couple little things here and there I would change, but I thought it did well with its violence. I thought the ending, I loved how batshit insane, because that did remind me of something you would see of the 80s excess. That was the decade of excess. That's what I mean. I think a lot of people don't understand what made the 80s films work, and what didn't work. They think that if you put a couple 80s songs and a few neon lights, that automatically makes it an 80s movie. No. Not Turbo Kid, or some of these other fucking want it to be 80s. There are some that do it well. There was a film, to remember the name of it, where a bunch of people hold up in a bar, and you had, from Don't Breathe. Stephen Lane was the star of it. I remember that being a pretty decent film. God, I wish I could remember the name. My mind's foggy of late. But I think Malignant did a lot of things right. and really enjoyed it. I didn't see. I know some people said it was predictable. I didn't really see where it was going because it was so unique and so weird, and dare I say, original. It was a fairly decent original idea. Crazy. Is it 100% realistic? No, but most of those 80s horror films weren't either. Whether it be Evil Dead or Reanimator or Shocker or a lot of those other films. But they went with it with gusto and with talent. And I think that's what helped make this film work. It wasn't just another typical fucking ghost story. We've had enough fucking ghost stories. Half the fucking horror films are ghost stories or some demon story or whatever. Enough of that shit. This had a bit more originality to it, and it got flack for it. So there's a part of me that wonders. I don't know if they know what they want. I don't know, but I think that's an underrated film. My second favorite of the year is Willys Wonderland. My number one is a cheat. It's not technically a movie, but I'll get to that. So if you exclude that, this would be number one. And then number 10 would probably be, what did I say? Maybe Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms, perhaps. But I'm gonna count the reason I enjoy this film so much, I think it delivered on its promise. Yes, there are a bit few times where the camera is shaking way too damn much. I will give you that. But Nick Cage beats the fuck out of a bunch of animatronics. You have some really stylish direction. You have some entertaining bits of humor. I like the idea that Nick Cage has no dialogue, so it made it seem a bit more unique. When Nick Cage in an interview, which I wish there were more features, I wish there was a commentary track on this, but in the few features there are, when he mentions killer clowns from outer space, you kind of know where this is going. Like I said, sometimes the camera is a little bit too shaky, sometimes I think the fights end a little bit too soon, but sometimes the characters do dumb stuff. There are little flaws here and there, but again, like Malignant, you want to see a film that's in its spirit is trying to be like an 80s type of movie. I think Willys Wonderland fits that. It's a quirky, crazy idea. Goes at a fast pace, streamlined. It's stylish. It's a pretty good looking. The animatronic work being practical. I like the designs they have of these characters. They even make their own song at the end, which I think there's some effort. It doesn't feel lazy. It did not feel cheap to me. And on the flip side, it's sad that this film, I think, had some effort put into it and kind of, once again, got shit on. Has a low rating, 9 I mean, in like a matter of days, the fucking film was on YouTube, and it's still on YouTube for free. And it's sad. I don't know what people were looking for in this, but this gave me what I wanted and then some. The trailer didn't lie. You have Nick Cage beating the shit out of animatronics for about 90 minutes, and it's pretty damn satisfying. So really enjoy Willys Wonderland. And I know this is a cheat because it's not a movie, but it plays out like a movie, and it's pretty much you playing a movie, so I will include it. I don't care, it's my list. House of Ashes. If I'm looking at what was the best thing I dealt with in year 2021, entertainment-wise, it was House of Ashes. I would call this an interactive movie. It's a movie that you get to interact with. I think this is much better than Until Dawn. Until Dawn, I played Until Dawn. You'll see a playthrough of that sometime. I recorded it. I just have to edit and upload it. Overall, it was a mixed bag for me. The ending, when you do see it, you'll realize it kind of sullied the experience for me. This, though, I thought was much better. I thought the characters were much better, especially Jason and Salim. Enemies that, if you do the right things, become friends. Jason's character, Jason Kolchak, has one of the better character developments I've seen compared to fucking multi-million-dollar movies. Like, there's better character work in this game than I see in the past couple years of Marvel films, including Spider-Man No Way Home. I keep harping on that because that movie has an 8.9 IMDb, whatever. To each their own. This film, well, I love the idea of you take Predator, you take The Descent, you even take a little bit of Life Force, you meld it in together, and you get a great setting, beautiful graphics, interesting story. I think the story got better as it went along. And like Until Dawn, the first half of that game is a fake ploy, a psycho that doesn't exist. So as you replay the game, you just, anytime you try to replay that game, it's like, okay, I gotta get through this, and this is all a fake, and it's a fraud, and that's not the case here. From the get-go, there's danger involved. And that's why I think the twist works better here than it does in Until Dawn. It's not half of the game is just one long fake out. That's not the case in this. So like I said, the graphics, the location, the atmosphere, it was a great experience, and plus it was cool that you're not just watching, you're interacting with the movie. So to me, this is my #1 favorite of the year. It was a great experience, I loved it, and technically the best movie I saw this year. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.